Prime Minister Scott Morrison has formally announced his intention to move Australia's embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to West Jerusalem, ending months of speculation on the controversial issue. In a speech this afternoon, Mr. Morrison formally recognized West Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and announced the government would set up a trade and defense office in the city. While he has formalized Australia's views on the Israeli capital, it remains a largely symbolic gesture, because the Australian embassy will not be moved until the final status of the city is decided under a peace agreement, something that is far from a reality. Fundamentally, it is the right of every country to determine its national capital, Mr. Morrison told the Sydney Institute this afternoon. The Prime Minister has drawn criticism for redefining Australia's position on Israel and Palestine, referring multiple times to the guardrails placed on the discussion. The government asked the question. The very act of daring to ask that question drew the usual criticism, he said, for everyone just to keep doing what they were doing and looking the other way. Don't raise the issue, just keep doing what you're doing. That's not the way I deal with problems. Mr. Morrison also acknowledged the Palestinians' right to its own state. Furthermore, recognizing our commitment to a two-state solution, the government is also resolved to acknowledge the aspirations of Palestinians for a future state with its capital in East Jerusalem, he said. Mr. Morrison floated the idea of moving the Australian embassy in October, during the dying days of the Wentworth by-election. The proposal angered Muslim nations, which issued joint protests to the Prime Minister, requesting he review his position. The conjecture has halted a free trade agreement with Indonesia, worth $16.5 billion. It was due to be signed before Christmas and has taken years to prepare. At this stage it remains unclear if it will be ratified. It's understood Mr. Morrison made arrangements to tell the Indonesian leaders of his government's decision before the public announcement. During the Wentworth by-election, conjecture abounded that the proposal was a ploy by the Prime Minister to stoke favor with the Wentworth electorate, which is home to a large number of Jewish people. Upon the announcement, the Australian Security Intelligence Organisation signalled moving the embassy could cause major unrest in the region. ASIO signalled at the time that moving the embassy would be perceived to be Australia taking a stance that is pro-Israel, anti-Iran, and that completing the move ran the risk of causing unrest. It said that attacks and violent protest have previously occurred internationally after periods of unrest in Gaza and the West Bank. We can't be told by other countries around the world about what our views are, at Scott Morrison MP on moving Australia's Israeli embassy to Jerusalem. We can't be told by other countries around the world what our views are, he said. Opposition leader Bill Shorten said it was a rash decision that had geopolitical implications and didn't reflect well on Australia. Frankly, he made himself look stupid and made our country look stupid, Mr. Shorten said in November.